This video contains original script writing, narration, music, animation, and editing created by Angel S. All analysis is transformative content based on publicly available information. Some words are meant to be heard clearly. Click C for subtitles. Welcome back, I'm Angel. If you've been following the Yu-Ming-Long case, you're probably already familiar with American medium Kandis Starr. This is the first connection of 2026. January 1st, the 1/1 energy portal. Kandis said the energy that day felt especially powerful. The perfect day to let Yu-Ming-Long speak to his fans. But here's the thing. Before she even opened her mouth, the spirit box had already started making sounds, which means he was already there, waiting. Waiting to say what? Before we begin, I want to ask you 3 questions. Question 1. If someone you loved was brutally murdered and the killers are still walking free, what would you do? Question 2. If the world told you he killed himself, but you knew in your heart that was a monstrous lie, could you stay silent? Question 3. If someone who died was using every last bit of their strength to tell you the truth, would you listen? Remember these 3 questions. I'll give you the answers at the end. Now, let's hear what Yu-Ming-Long had to say on the first day of 2026. Key messages 1 to 5. Conspiracy, Bloodline, and the boss. First key message. He confirmed his English name. Kandis asked him, "What would you like me to call you?" And through the spirit box, one word came through, crystal clear. Alan. Alan. That's Yu-Ming-Long's English name. But that's not even the craziest part. You know what is? Kandis said she and the spirit box spoke the name Alan at the exact same time. The exact same time. Even she was startled. Second key message. Conspiracy. Right from the start of the session, this word came through. Conspiracy. What does that mean? A plot, a scheme, not an accident, not a suicide, a premeditated murder. Third key message. Bloodline. This word came up multiple times throughout the session. Bloodline. Now, combine that with what other mediums have mentioned. Sacrifice. Blood. What do you think that means? I don't know, but it sends chills down my spine. Fourth key message. Who is the boss? Kandis asked him. The mastermind behind all this? Male or female? The spirit box answered, very clearly. She. A woman. Who is this woman? What's her relationship with Yu-Ming-Long? We don't know, but the spirit box said she. Fifth key message. They chose me. What does that mean? He wasn't some random victim. He was selected. Chosen. Why him? Chosen for what? We don't know, but one thing is certain. They chose him. Key messages 6 to 10. Torture, cries for help, and his dogs. Sixth key message. They tortured me. When Kandis asked what he went through before he died, the spirit box delivered this message. They tortured me. He confirmed it himself. He was tortured. Seventh key message. I'm going to die, but I'm ready. This one made Kandis cry on the spot. He said, I'm going to die, but I'm ready. He knew he was going to die, and he said he was ready. What kind of despair does it take to say something like that? Eighth key message. Somebody help me. This phrase came through over and over again throughout the session. Somebody help me. He cried for help, but no one came. No one came. Ninth key message. They eat you up. I hesitated for a long time about whether to include this part, but the truth is the truth. Kandis gathered her courage and asked the question everyone wanted to know but was too afraid to ask. Did they eat you? What did the spirit box say? They eat you up. 10th key message. His dogs. A lot of fans have been worried about 𝗞𝗱𝗀's fur babies. Kandis asked him, "Are your dogs with you?" The spirit box delivered 3 words. They're angels. Those fur babies who were killed in front of him, they're finally reunited with him now. When I heard that, I couldn't hold back my tears. Key messages 11 to 15. His mother, Chen Duling, and his final words. 11th key message. His mother. 𝗞𝗱𝗀's mother passed away 3 months after he did. When Kandis asked, "Is your mother with you?" the answer was no. But then the spirit box delivered another message. They set her up. What does that mean? They framed her. I won't speculate on what that implies, but I believe the truth will come out eventually. 12th key message. About the children's blood. There have been rumors online about people drawing blood from school children. When Kandis asked about this, the spirit box said, "We were taken." Notice, he said we, not just him. 13th key message. About Chen Duling. Chen Duling is the actress who was romantically linked to 𝗞𝗱𝗀. Kandis asked him, "What do you want to say about Chen Duling?" The spirit box gave 2 messages. First, I told her. Second, I pray for her. He tried to warn her, and now he prays for her. What does that mean? You decide. 14th key message. He is a saint. Kandis said something that left a deep impression on me. She said that in all her years of mediumship, having encountered countless souls, she had never seen a soul as pure as 𝗞𝗱𝗀's. She said he never committed a single sin in his life. He is a saint. 15th key message. I'm so tired. This was his final message. I'm so tired. And then the spirit box went silent. Completely silent. Kandis said she could feel it. He had used up every last bit of his strength, just to tell us all of this. After the channeling ended, Kandis drew 4 tarot cards for 𝗞𝗱𝗀. The Star, Knight of Pentacles, 4 of Pentacles, Queen of Cups. Kandis said his energy is gentle, pure, full of love. This is not weakness, this is purity. This world didn't deserve him. Tarot Deep Dive. After the channeling, Kandis drew 4 tarot cards for 𝗞𝗱𝗀. When I first saw these 4 cards, my reaction was, that's strange. Why strange? Because these 4 cards were nothing like what I expected. Think about it. A person who was murdered. A person who suffered so much. What kind of cards would you expect to see? Logically, you'd expect swords, representing conflict, harm, betrayal. The Tower, representing destruction, collapse, disaster. The Devil, representing bondage, control, dark forces. Or Judgment, representing reckoning, karma, truth revealed. But none of those cards appeared, not a single one. So what does that mean? After studying them carefully, I realized something. These aren't event cards. These are soul state cards. What does that mean? None of these 4 cards describe what happened to him externally. They all describe the same thing, the essence of a soul, how he endured everything, and the energetic imprint he left behind. This is actually very, very rare in tarot. First card, the Star. Most people think the star means hope. Hope is coming. The darkness is passing. There's light ahead. But in this spread, that's not what it means. In mediumship, when the star appears for someone who is past, it represents a state beyond suffering. What does beyond suffering mean? It doesn't mean the suffering never happened. It means the soul is no longer trapped in that suffering. He has finished enduring it. Imagine it like this. His soul has been washed clean. All the weight, all the wounds, all the darkness, none of it clings to him anymore. He no longer belongs to the heaviness of this world. That's why the star card typically shows a naked woman pouring water under a starry sky. The water is purification. The nakedness is having nothing to hide, nothing to carry. So when I saw the star as the first card, I knew this soul is no longer struggling. Second card, Knight of Pentacles. This card shocked me the most. Why? In traditional tarot, Knight of Pentacles usually means slow, steady, grounded, patient. But in a victim's mediumship spread, this card means something completely different. It means endure, hold on, bear it. Don't take a single step back. Here's the thing. In victim-type mediumship, this card almost only appears for one kind of person. What kind? Someone who doesn't fight back, not because they're weak. Someone who doesn't struggle, not because they've given up, but because they don't want to hurt anyone, not even the people hurting them. Sounds hard to understand, right? A person is being tortured, abused, killed. Why wouldn't they fight back? The Knight of Pentacles gives you the answer. Because he knew that if he fought back, he might hurt someone else. He might drag someone else into it. He might make things worse. So he chose to bear it alone. This matches exactly what he said through the spirit box. I'm going to die, but I'm ready. He knew he was going to die, but he chose not to take anyone else down with him. What kind of character is that? The character of a saint. Third card, Four of Pentacles. A lot of people interpret this card negatively. Greedy, stingy, too controlling, won't let go. But in this spread, it means something entirely different. It means holding on to the last thing you have. What thing? Not money, not possessions, not anything material. His integrity, his heart, his sense of, I am not one of you. Picture this scene, a person surrounded by a group, being tortured, abused, pressured. They might have wanted him to do something, to say something, to become one of them, but he didn't. He held on to his final line. He refused to become part of the abusers. That's what the Four of Pentacles means in this spread. And notice this, Knight of Pentacles and Four of Pentacles appear together. One means hold on until the end. The other means never let go. Together, they say the same thing. He used every ounce of strength to hold on to who he was, until the very last moment. Fourth card, Queen of Cups. This is the heart of the entire spread. If the first three cards describe how he endured, this card describes who he is. What does the Queen of Cups represent in tarot? Emotion, intuition, empathy, love. This is the card with the most maternal energy in the entire deck. But that doesn't mean he was feminine. It means he was born with a gift, the ability to feel what others feel, to absorb the emotions of those around him, to respond to the world with love. In mediumship, the Queen of Cups almost translates to one phrase: a person who bears the world with love. Not a martyr complex, not a people pleaser, just born with overwhelming empathy. When others hurt, he hurts. When others are sad, he's sad too. Living in this world is exhausting for someone like that, because they absorb too much. This card explains so many things. Why did he pray for Chen Duling? Because of the Queen of Cups. Why did he think of his dogs first? Because of the Queen of Cups. Why were his final words, "I'm so tired," instead of "I hate you all"? Because of the Queen of Cups. The essence of his soul is love. Even after being hurt by this world to that extent, his last words weren't hatred. They were exhaustion. Why did Kandis say he's a saint? Now you understand. This spread has no cards of revenge, no cards of anger, no judgment, no curse, no make them pay. If a soul left with hatred, what would the spread look like? You'd see the Three of Swords, heartbreak and betrayal. You'd see the Ten of Swords, complete defeat. You'd see the Devil, consumed by darkness. You'd see Judgment, awaiting reckoning. But none of those are here, not one. This entire spread says only one thing: a soul pushed to the absolute limit, who still held on to kindness. So when Kandis said he is a saint, she wasn't being dramatic. She wasn't exaggerating. She was making a judgment based on her years of experience, based on the energy this spread showed her. Her conclusion was, this person is a saint. This is not weakness. This is purity. Why were his final words, "I'm so tired"? I thought about this for a long time. Why not, "I hate them"? Why not, "Avenge me"? Why not, "Make them pay"? Why, "I'm so tired"? The answer is in this spread. The ending of this spread isn't release. It isn't relief. It isn't, "I'm finally free." It's letting go of responsibility. What responsibility? He felt responsible for telling us the truth. He felt responsible for protecting others. He felt responsible for holding on, for not falling. And now he can finally say, "I've held on as long as I needed to. The rest is up to you." That's also why this spread has no future card. Usually in a tarot layout, there's a card representing the future. But this spread doesn't have one, because his future isn't in this world. His part is finished. If I had to sum up these 4 cards in one sentence, this spread doesn't describe a death. It describes a soul that stayed kind until the very end. Ending. Answers to the 3 questions. Alright, now let me answer the 3 questions from the beginning. Question 1. If someone you loved was brutally murdered and the killers walked free, what would you do? The answer? You'd do what we do. Fight. Day after day. Translate. Make subtitles. Share videos. Sign petitions. Refuse to let the world forget his name. Question 2. If the world says he killed himself, but you know it's a lie, can you stay silent? The answer? No. That's why we're here. That's why Kandis Starr is here. That's why you're watching this video. Because silence is the killer's best protection. Question 3. If someone who died used every last bit of their strength to tell you the truth, would you listen? The answer? You just did. He said, conspiracy. He said, they tortured me. He said, they eat you up. He said, somebody help me. With his last breath of strength, he said, I'm so tired. He's already told us everything. Now it's our turn to speak for him. If you want to help Yu Menglong, please do 3 things. First, sign the petition, link in the description. Second, light a candle for him, pray for him. He said, pray for me. Third, share this video. Let more people know the truth. Yu Menglong, we heard you. Alan, we won't give up. You live in our hearts forever. Forever. I'm Angel. May the light be with you.
在深海的静默里，有个名字不敢被说，它掉入一个没有人救的夜，像烂枝一样沉下，呼吸变成回声。我还记得他说过，如果真相会懂，那至少要有人听见。城市亮着霓虹，没有人抬头。那天新闻被删除，声音被剪成碎片。蓝色的鲸鱼在梦里哭，它呼唤的声波被海浪吞没。浮上海面的是谎言的泡沫，沉到海底的是真实的眼泪。他只是想回家，却被雾成风暴的源头。谁在假装看不见？谁在害怕那一幕重播？有个灵魂在深水里张开眼，他说别哭，我还在，还流失他的呼吸，波光是他没说完的话。天会亮吗？当真相被掩埋成沙，还会静吗？当真意漂浮无价，我看见一只蓝鲸在黑潮里转身，它用歌声推动黎明。天会亮吗？为那失踪的名字，我愿成浪替他呼喊。有谁在凌晨的论坛贴上他最后的照片？有谁在留言说别再提了那会出事？经地震与风声交错，原来沉默也会成为武器。蓝鲸在海底看着我们的荧幕，每一次划过都像一把刀。有人笑着说那只是演戏，有人哭着说他只是想活下去。我只听见他不是怪物，他是被吞没的人。他说我不是报仇的脸，我只是想回来看看，看看谁还记得我。月光滴进海底，化成万颗气泡，像他的眼泪慢慢升起。天会亮吗？当我们终于敢说话，风会停吗？当真相不再背叛，蓝鲸翻身的瞬间，海面破开一道光，那是他的心跳，撞碎黑暗的墙。他们说他疯了，他做了他不该活着，可他只是太真，太快看穿这个世界的假。你们关掉留言，封锁报道，却忘了海浪没有过界。真相会流动，灵魂会呼吸，雨朦胧不只是名字，是每个被掩埋还想被听见的我。在那座没有调查的博物馆，玻璃后的微笑已经褪色。他对我说我原谅他们，但我不会原谅那场沉默。每一个没被说出的故事，都变成我身上的伤痕。我游过一座又一座城市，听到你们的冷漠回应。我不是神，也不是幽灵，只是那只还在唱歌的蓝鲸。天会亮吗？当谎言终于燃烧，还会开吗？当勇气开始呼啸，它不该被忘记，不该被减少模糊的记忆。他的灵魂在波浪间说我没走，只是换了呼吸。有人低头念经，有人点亮手机，每一个名字都是灯。天边绿圈拍成他的影子，闪烁着还活着的语气。天会亮吗？是的，天真的亮了。你听，那是浪花，也是他的笑。蓝鲸冲破浪头，带着所有被压抑的真相一同付出。那一刻，海风变成了歌，歌里有他，也有我们。天会 说回的，因为爱没有死，只是陷得更深。因为正义会回来，只是慢了一点。而当第一道晨光落进海里，他终于可以离开，留下的不是悲伤，而是被点亮的我们。天亮了，那只蓝色的鲸鱼正朝着光慢慢游远，而我们终于敢抬头去看那道被真相